Awesome. All right, so higher order derivatives is just finding what we call the first or second or third derivative. So the first derivative that we have is y prime. And y prime is the same as dy dx. And we call this the first derivative. So everything we found today was the first derivative. Now in physics, you don't call something the first or the second derivative. You call them velocity or acceleration. So the first derivative is representative of velocity. The derivative of velocity is acceleration. So that is finding the second derivative. So we in calculus call the second derivative y double prime. Which is like saying, find the derivative of the derivative. So that would be d dx of dy dx. So what is dx times dx? Well, if you have the same variable times itself, that's like dx squared, right? And d times d is d squared y. So the notation in calculus for the second derivative is d squared y over dx squared. And again, that represents the second derivative. So nicely enough, the third derivative is y triple prime or d cubed y dx cubed, because again, it's the derivative of the second derivative. So it's 3 derivatives with respect to x 3 times. Jerk. Yep, it's called the jerk. And then the fourth one's called the snap. So that notation would continue on and on and on and on. So y to any prime is equal to the derivative of that y to the n minus 1. Or you can say d to the y over d to the x to the n. Represents the nth derivative. So let's go back to an example like y equals x cubed minus 5x squared plus 2. The first derivative, y prime, is equal to the derivative of x cubed, which is 3x squared, the derivative of 5x squared, which is negative 10x, because 5 times 2 is 10, take 1 away. Derivative of 2 is 0. But now we don't stop with the first derivative, we take the second derivative, which is the derivative of the derivative. So the derivative of 3x squared is 3 times 2, which is 6x. Derivative of 10x is 10. So you get 6x minus 10. The third derivative is the derivative of the second. So the derivative of 6x is 6. Derivative of 10 is 0. And again, that should make sense, right? The derivative represents the slope of the original. So this is linear. We know the derivative of a linear function would be its slope. So the derivative of 6x minus 10 is 6. What's the derivative of 6? Well, the derivative represents the slope. The slope of y prime equaling 6 is 0. So you have two ways you can do that. You can write it as the Roman numeral 4 or as the number 4. Do not draw 4 primes though. So either write Roman numeral 4 or the number 4. Once you get a derivative of 0, all derivatives after that are 0. So this is what we call the derivatives of all orders, or this is all the derivatives of that. So there are no further derivatives because the derivative of 0 is 0 and 0 and 0 and 0. So this function has 4 derivatives. And that is how you found higher order derivatives.